How's it going, Riftbound enjoyers? Just this weekend, I played in another weekly Riftbound tournament. Yes, I am playing in as many of these as I can to get some good practice, hopefully. And this time I joined the Runes and Rift Weekly, which is hosted by RiftboundCompanion. Shout out to them for hosting this tournament. This tournament that I joined had about 30-something players before players dropped. And yeah, so for this tournament, I played a total of 5 rounds of Swiss. Just like my previous tournament, I brought over another Darius Hook deck list. So I feel like, given how well I feel like I've been doing with Darius recently, I thought I might continue on a little bit more. I think Darius is pretty fun. I like the concept of getting a lot of value, especially with the Legion effect. This list is pretty similar to my previous list. Actually, 4 Fury runes might be too much, especially because a lot of your power costs on the Fury runes are on high cost units like Darius, Vayne, Draven. So you don't really need that Fury rune power like until later in the game. I actually had one game where I drew out like 3 Fury runes early, and it stopped me from playing basically a seal. It stopped me from playing my Vanguard Captain. So I think you actually don't really need that many Fury runes. I think 4 might even be too much. Obviously, should probably throw this into like a hypergeometric calculator just to see what the percentages are. But I'm thinking 4 Fury might even be too much for this deck, and especially because you don't really have too many like units that use the Fury power. So that's something that I'm considering on the runes front. For battlefields, I did switch out I forgot the Candlelit Sanctum, I believe. I switched it out with Arena's Greatest. And the reason for that is I anticipated that I would face against a lot more like maybe Ramp, Yees, maybe Auroras. And getting Arena's Greatest is really good, especially if you can go first. You get basically 2 points on turn 2, at least. Usually if you have a 1 drop, or like just have 1 unit that you play on turn 1. So this can be really helpful. But I still keep Trifarian Warcamp and Zon Warrens. Usually I start off the game with Trifarian, or the best of 3 with Trifarian Warcamp. It's a pretty solid like battlefield in general. Like it's good if you go first or second. You can play for an aggro type token. Like I think there's a lot of ways to create a game plan around Trifarian Warcamp, whether you go first or second. Zon Warrens is relatively neutral. It's just good for draw. I usually play that on game 2. And then Arena's Greatest, I try to go for a rush, fast-paced game 3 if possible, if I can go first. So that's usually the plan here. And with regards to the deck, I've bumped the seal count back to 3 seals, for just like all the other Darius decks, mainly because that Legion effect, if you can get it early, is so big, especially if you get the Seal of Unity plus Vanguard Captain. That is the nuts to hit on turn 1, basically. And then you basically get, mainly because you got 3 bodies, and it almost guarantees that you can get 2 battlefields if your opponent does not do anything, which is quite nice. And that's 2 points, which sets you in the, allows you to play for a 2-2-2-2 win. And yeah, so nothing else really changed. I did put a Falling Star back into my deck because I realized I think the matchup into decks that want to hold like maybe Yi or Teemo is really it's so much easier if you have Falling Star. But it does set you back in, I guess, like sets you back in power quite a bit. And obviously if you reduce the power from like 4 to 3, maybe this isn't as viable because you might not be able to cast it early. So yeah, I have 1 Falling Star. I don't know, maybe I should add another, but I feel like units are just so much better than even though you can clear out 2 of your opponent's units. Daring Poro, the same. Glory Seeker, these are all the same counts. I don't think there's anything that's really changed. I think I downgraded to 2 Kaisas because you're not really drawing Kaisa that much. And yeah, you don't really want to have a hand of Kaisas. And another issue is the hook, especially if you hook onto like a 2 cost. Unless it's like buffed to 3, you're not going to be able to pull out Kaisa anyway. So it kind of could grief your hook targets. And my sideboard is still the same. It's just anti Aurora. So, but so there's actually, maybe I could probably optimize this a bit more. Like I know like some games where I'm just playing against Kaisa, I just don't even sideboard anything because none of these are really that good against Kaisa. So yeah, that's something. For my games, I'll just go over them really quick. Round 1, what did I go? What did I go here? I went 0-2. And the reason I went 0-2 here was first, obviously I didn't play as good as I could. I made some pretty bad misplays, but I was playing against a Kaisa, and this was a pretty pretty typical Kaisa with the spells, no big units. There were two major reasons I went 0-2 here. One was I did not get hook out very early. And when I did get hook out, I actually whiffed on some of my hooks. Like I killed a unit and I didn't even upgrade it to something better. So those hooks were, I whiffed on 2 hooks, I remember, which set me back immensely. And then the Kaisa player also had Icathian Rain for both games we played. So Icathian Rain, that is horrendous for Darius, because let's say you build up your board, you got like bunch of tokens, you're ready to come in with a grand stratagem turn next turn to end the game, but then you get Icathian Rain, all your units in base are wiped out. So that my Kaisa opponent actually got Icathian Rain in like their hand at like a good time for both the games. Really made it so that I couldn't come back. So I didn't record any of these games. It probably would have been good to sort of review them, but yeah. So the first my first round was pretty bad. Honestly, I was after losing that hard, I felt like I was pretty demotivated, and I was contemplating on if I should just like drop out and like take a break or something. But I was thinking, you know what, I should get some more practice. So then my second round, I went 1-2, and this time I was playing against a Tempo E. So they were playing like Chiana, the Poros, the Clockwork Keepers. This one I remember it was pretty close, especially on the game 3. Game 1 and 2 was like, I think I won 1, I lost 1, and then yeah, game 3. I don't really remember too much about this game. As Darius, I think the Yi matchup is not too bad as long as you're trying to maintain holds. You got to play for more of a hold strategy, because once the Master Yi player comes and starts holding, you're gonna have to spend more resources. I think against the Yi player, I played mostly like a hold strategy round, and I won that one. Round 3, I went 2-1 again. I think this one was against an Aurora Yi, and I think I remember this one a bit more clearly, because first game, I basically just rushed the battlefields. Actually, my opponent didn't even hit Aurora on game 1, so they weren't really able to play the game. They kind of had to play like the Master Yi Legend, or they had to play the Master Yi Champion, and they also had to play a Dead Bloom, which I never left the battlefield open, so it was hard for them to take over the battlefield. And then game 2, they actually got the ramp, they got the Aurora, and they basically outvalued me in game 2. So, but then game 3, I pulled out, the arena's greatest, and unfortunately for my opponent, I think they had like 2 Auroras in hand, no ramp. So basically, I just collected all the battlefield points, and by the time they got Aurora down, it was a little too late. So that was my game 3 against Aurora Yi, and then my game 4, I went 2-0, which was against a Kaisa. But the Kaisa deck was a little different. They ran Mega Mech, which I asked my opponent. They said it was more for the Kaisa mirror match. So yeah, I think it was a lot easier for me as Darius, because I think they weren't really prepared for a non-Kaisa matchup. I think they were expecting to play against a lot of Kaisas. So I went 2-0 here. And then for my last round, I went against another Kaisa, which I went, the score was win, loss, win. And I'll actually share the VOD that I took. This video was also streamed, but I also have a video from my point of view. And yeah, so I think like this tournament, I played overall okay for the 5 rounds, and I went 4-1, which is quite good. And in addition to that, I think like I really went through the meta gauntlet here, because I played against, I played against 3 Kaisas, 2 Yis, which is basically the tournament meta, or the regional meta in China. So this was a pretty good testing ground for the Darius deck, and it seems that Darius is still doing it. It still has like overall pretty good like matchups. Like obviously like game 1 where I lost 0-2, that felt pretty awful, but I think that was like a low end of the variance here. Okay, yeah. So let's just jump into the last game I played in my final best of 3. So the score right now is 1-1. I won the first one, I lost the second one, and I think my final sort of battlefield here is going to be the Arena's Greatest, and I'm playing against Targon's Peak. So Arena's Greatest gives everyone +1 point, makes it a 7-point game, and Arena's Greatest or Targon's Peak is good for my opponent because if you conquer, you get 2 runes, which is great for Kai'Sa to use her spells. And yeah, so I this is what I draw in my first 4. I get a Baited Hook, I get a Vayne, I get a Captain, and I get a Poro. So I actually do something kind of weird here. I think what I did was I actually mulligan away the Vayne and the Baited Hook because I thought, okay, I'm Arena's Greatest, I'm going first. I actually don't know if I have enough time to get the Baited Hook and get some value out of it. So this might have been a misplay actually, but basically what I do is I mulligan away the Vayne and the Baited Hook. There we get rid of the Vayne and the Baited Hook, and then I draw into another Baited Hook and Grand Stratagem. Yeah, honestly, I think looking back, the mulliganing away the Baited Hook might have been a misplay because I was thinking, okay, if I'm playing Arena's Greatest, I'm probably going for trying to get as many points as possible. Baited Hook might be a little slow because if I don't hit anything I want, the Kai'Sa is just going to kill my units anyway with Falling Star, so maybe it's better to just have another unit instead of the Baited Hook. But it doesn't really matter because I drew the Baited Hook anyway. I start off with a Poro, very standard turn 1 play. Just want to get that point on turn 2. And my opponent plays a Yordle. Continuing onwards, I have 4 runes. Now this is a little interesting because I could play the Glory Seeker and the Captain here. But the issue is I can only get the Legion effect of 1. And I guess technically if I get the Glory Seeker, I think one possible good play would be Glory Seeker into the Captain. And then you would get, I guess, at least 4 bodies, which would be hard to Falling Star. But I was also thinking, what if I just played the Kai'Sa unaccelerated? Because what happens here is I know that I can conquer 1 battlefield. So that brings me to 2. And next turn, I can go play for a 2/2/2. But right now, since my opponent doesn't have a lot of stuff on board, I might be able to cheese a conquer with Kai'Sa and try to get that extra card draw. Because right now, what's going to happen is if I play the Glory Seeker and the Captain, I guess the next turn I could play an accelerated Kai'Sa, which might have been better. If I play the Kai'Sa, the next turn I can actually use the hook into the Captain. Whereas right now, if I play the Glory Seeker and the Captain, I lose 1 Legion proc. And I also set myself behind 1 power, which on next turn I'll be at 6. I should be at 6, but I would be at 5 actually. And that's only enough to play the Kai'Sa accelerated. But I want to try leveraging the hook next turn if possible. So I think that's why I play the Kai'Sa. So let's go forward here. I move the Poro for the Conquer to get the point, and then I play the Kai'Sa down and unaccelerated. My opponent has 5 runes up. They play a Void Ray and they play 2 minions. It's actually really good for me because they have no runes up. My Kai'Sa can get a free Conquer, get the card draw, and then next turn I can also get the hook in play as well. So what do we do here? I play the hook. Honestly, I should have conquered with Kai'Sa first. I think that was a misplay on my end. But I know that they don't really have anything. So the only reason I should conquer with Kai'Sa first is just so I can get another card, just to see what it could be. And it looks like I drew into a Hidden Blade here. And I guess that doesn't really change my game plan. I can still play the Captain, get the Legion effect, and then I can kill the Captain with the hook. And oh, I hit something really good. I had the choice between Spectral Matron and Draven. Right now, Draven is, like, obviously Draven is better in the mid to late game, but I think the Spectral Matron just gives me enough bodies. I think, like, basically if I get the Matron, I get 9 might, whereas Draven right now is 3+3, which is only 6. So I obviously go for the Matron, and if I get the Matron, I can hook and kill the Vanguard Captain again. So yeah, I get the Matron, I get the Captain, and the tokens, and then I recycle everything else. So unfortunately, the Draven does go to the bottom of my deck, and that means I won't be able to hit it until I hook a few more times. So it looks like my opponent sends the Noxus Hopeful and the Tank Yordle, and I actually forgot about the Tank Yordle. I was thinking I could trade with the Hopeful, but thankfully my opponent told me that. Reminded me about the tank, so I was like, oh, okay. I'll use the hidden blade on the hopeful, and then so I kill off the hopeful. My opponent draws 2 cards, and then they kill off the Kaisa with a Void Seeker, and then they get the Conquer. And right now, I'm actually in a pretty good spot because I'm up in point tempo. My opponent is pretty much tapped out, and they don't have very strong units on board. They have like 2 tank Yordles and 1 sentry, while I have basically 11 might on board in the form of tokens. So we start off my turn. I actually get a second baited hook here, which is actually crazy because right now I'm actually running out of steam. Like if I play the Draven and the Trifarian, I don't really have much after that. But this baited hook allows me to basically grab some more stuff in my deck. So what do I do here? I send all 4 recruits to Targon's Peak. And the reason I send all 4 is because if my opponent has 1 rune up, or actually no, they have 3 runes up. So they can at least play 2 spells. They could play like, obviously Smokescreen's not good here. They could play another Void Ray. They could play I think they could just play 2 Void Rays at best. So that would bring me down to like 2, and worst case I would trade. I don't want the Yordle to heal, so that's why I sent all 4. It might have been overkill though. Maybe I only needed to send 3 because they're probably only going to play 1 spell to kill the recruits. But yeah, my opponent trades. I leave 2 recruits in Targon's Peak, which is not great. I only really want to leave 1 there. And then I send the captain to Arena's Greatest to get my 5th point. And this is when I play my second baited hook. We hook to kill the captain because we want to bring it in base. And what do we pull out? We pull out what do we do? Okay, so we take a look at the hook. We grab another matron. Okay, this game I actually high rolled because all of my hooks were really good. In comparison to my first game where I actually whiffed like a hook or 2. Like I'm getting matrons every turn off of this hook, and it's just summoning captains, which is like 5 might of value plus the 4 on the matron. And let's go forward. I think I tap my second hook here. And what do we get? I kill the captain because 3 might is a good unit to kill. So I can get anything with 4 might here. It doesn't seem like there's anything really good other than a Vayne or a Hopeful. I think I actually opt for the... I opt for the Hopeful. For some reason, I thought I opted for the Vayne. But getting the Hopeful here was good because if my opponent does decide to like Falling Star, the Hopeful won't die to Falling Star, at least for 1 of the hits. So that's pretty good here. And then let's continue. Yeah, this is the turn where I pass it back to my opponent. They don't really have a board. They have like 2 Yordle and a Sentry, but they do have a lot of runes up. And this is a pretty critical turn where they play the Acathian Rain. So they what is it? They play Acathian Rain and they basically kill off most of my guys with this Acathian Rain. So that clears pretty much everything except for my recruits. And obviously the Yordle comes in, trades with those 2 recruits. And I guess we're left with 1 sentry on my opponent's side and 2 sentries on my side. But this is fine because I still have the hook. And the hook is like, gonna if I draw into like another 3 might unit or something, the hook will be enough to just get me rebuild my board. So unlike the first games I played where the Acathian Rain basically put me out of the game, I'm actually not in too bad of a slot because I still have some tokens and I could still kill the tokens with the hook. Obviously, the chance of getting anything good is pretty bad. It looks like my opponent uses the last of their runes to play a Falling Star, kills off the 2 of my recruits. I guess in hopes that I don't have fewer hook targets. But I think this was actually not that good for my opponent because the 2 recruits are kind of not useful for me. And the Falling Star can be saved for maybe like when I'm rebuilding my board. So they use the Falling Star to kill the recruits, I guess maybe to prevent me from conquering the other one as well. Because right now I cannot take any points this turn. I'm at 5. If I did take the other one, I'd be at 6, and then I can push for game. And yeah, so I draw into a cleave here, which is rather useless. I much prefer a unit. So I think I don't have that many options. Like I could play the Glory Seeker, but I don't get the Legion. If I want the Legion, I would have to cleave on the Sentry and then play the Glory Seeker and then hook it twice, which it feels kind of bad, I gotta say. Yeah, I feel like I should like I think about it, but I think I should play the Draven here because it's basically an 8 might for 5. But and 8 might for Kaisa is actually really hard to deal with. Because like the only way they can take it out is maybe like accelerate a thousand tailed watcher, or maybe if they have the singularity. But yeah, so like the Draven here, I think I should have played Draven. I think I actually misplayed by playing the Glory Seeker, and I don't think I got punished because I Glory Seekered. Oh, this is ridiculous. Yeah, what I did was I played Glory Seeker, and I draw into a Draven on the baited hook. So this was I misplayed, but then I got bailed out because I hit the Draven, which is 8 might, and that I basically had could not hook it again. So I had 3 runes up for fun, I guess. So yeah, no, this was actually a misplay. I should have played the Draven in hand, and then next turn played the Glory Seeker, maybe with another unit. And then on my opponent's turn, I guess all they have is they can play some units. They played 2 sentries. Actually, they played 3 sentries plus a Noxus Hopeful, which is not great. Not great, I gotta say. I guess, like, obviously, I think they want some bigger bodies here. Maybe some, like, I guess they already lost 2 Yordles, tank Yordles, so they don't really have that many. And the issue with the sentries is that they need to die for my opponent to get the draw. So back to my turn. What do? I draw a seal, which is pretty useless. Yeah, I sent Draven in to get my 6 point. And then I don't really have any other good plays. I could play the Darius to get a 7th point, but right now I actually don't need to. The Darius is much better when it's conquering. So what I was thinking here is I play the other Draven in base just to get a big might unit. And then next turn I can try to push for a game win by using the Draven in base and the Darius that comes in ready with cleave, which would be really hard for my opponent to deal with. They need to have some form of spell at least to kill the Draven. So I think what they do is they play a Sprite Mother. They send all their guys in to kill the Draven, and my Draven is dead. And they also draw 3 cards. Yeah, they draw 3 cards, and I guess they told me that they got nothing. So I assume my opponent knew that I was going to come in with the Draven plus the Darius next turn, and they won't be able to hold that. They just conceded the game here. So yeah, that was my game 5 against the first place player, and overall, I made quite a few misplays in this game, as you can see. I think this game I was also a little nervous. There were 2 times where I accidentally clicked the start turn where I drew an extra card by accident. And not like it helped me in any way, but definitely a little embarrassing. But yeah, that was my final game. Overall, I feel pretty good about Darius, and we'll probably be playing some more Darius in the next tournaments. And until I feel like the meta has changed in a way where Darius does not feel good, that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching.